We've been lucky, right? We've had a lot of great coaches at Xavier. Leo Paquin, Jack Galbraith, Pat Rooney. I don't think anyone can think about Xavier football without thinking about Chris and recognizing his impact.
He's turned it into an annual powerhouse. Now people not only talk about Xavier as an academic institution, but sports, especially football, is something that people know Xavier about now, and I think it's really a testament to him and the hard work that he's put in.
To be a coach here, you have to be a little bit courageous. You have to put the work in. Every single time anybody played against the Xavier team that Chris coached, they knew they were going to have to work hard to beat us. That's the hallmark.
He doesn't ask anyone to work harder than he works himself. So he models the kind of person he expects people to be, a person of integrity, a person with strong work ethic.
It's an honor to take over the position, for Chris and lead Xavier football. He has helped transform us into one of the great teams in the CHSFL.
He could have gone anywhere and coached football after he first became successful here, but he stayed here because, it sounds like a cliche, bleeds maroon and blue, but Chris bleeds maroon and blue. He loves this place. It's his second home. The team, the coaches, that's his second family.
There's a lot of Xavier that Chris represents oh so well. As a student, as an athlete, as a young faculty member, as coach, he's been here a lot of years.
It's funny that Chris is a history teacher because I'm sure his style derives from emperors and kings. I think a lot of us who have played for him, now I've had the honor of coaching with him and working with him at the same time. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about Xavier. You learn a lot about sport.
Chris has always been the man you've met. He's always been a very positive, very serious football player. When I was a senior, he was a junior. Really was a powerful part of that group of the guys behind us, great group of guys behind us, class of '83. So he was part of that leadership.
He's a tough, no-nonsense guy. That's why he was successful as a player. He wasn't a big guy. He was an undersized lineman, really. He anchored that defense. He does walk it like he talks it, and the kids know that, and they respect him for it.
He was really no nonsense, but he was always so funny. He was always so funny on the field, and even when he was deadly serious, you can always tell it was from a place of love.
How to take criticism properly. That's one of the biggest things with Coach Stevens. That really helped him, telling me directly exactly what I had to work on. And from that, I feel like I definitely became a better player.
He's tough, tough on the kids. He's tougher on himself. He took the wins with a grain of salt, and he took the losses personally. He looked for a way to improve. He was always looking for that edge. He was always looking for a way to make the team better and himself better. And I think that's why he settled on trying with the single wing.
In a lot of ways, Chris is an old school guy, right? The single wing is a throwback, right? It's an anachronism, right? There's a reason not a lot of people are running it anymore. Right? That may be one of the reasons we had some success with it.
When you've only got maybe a fraction of a field to practice on, you don't have the time or the space to put in big, complicated passing games. Chris, he came up with an offense, an antique offense, the single wing, brought it back from the 1930s, and that was perfect for given the space that he had to work in. And by the way, there's a lot of ball handling, and it just so happens that a lot of his kids play rugby, like he did.
I got to know him on another level of coaching as a father, because my son James, he's a class of 15, he also was coached by Chris. Chris, very rarely did he have to really invoke any kind of discipline beyond expectation. There was a lot of expectations, a lot of, I think, desire on their part to kind of raise themselves to that expectation of what to be a football player. And, in today's world, it's more and more rare that you see a man require that of the students.
The way he treated us was with respect. I think that was the most important thing. So he gave us all the respect. He treated us like young men, which I can say coming from, NCAA, you don't always get treated like that by your coach. Every game, he would tape my ankles. We wouldn't talk, we wouldn't say anything. We just had a certain understanding between each other.
Being an athlete, especially being a young black athlete,
You start to feel like a commodity. You start to feel like like you're only as valuable as the worth that you provide on the field. It felt like he wanted me to be able to get up and walk away from the field and like, you know, without worrying about like my ankles being broken. It was during a time where I really needed him, and he was there for me. And he was even at my wedding. It was really cool watching this little short Irish guy, you know, interact with all of these Jamaicans and everything that from my wife's side of the family. I'd never had a male role model in my life up to that point that I trusted, and I really want to be that for whoever's next or whoever comes into my life. And I feel like that's the most important thing that he's taught me is care, is how to care for someone.
The way I would sum it up is that Chris is Xavier football. Xavier football would not be what it is without Chris, and I can say that in all sincerity.
He was always the face of football to me. And I know the history, all the great men that have coached here in all the different sports. He's up there. He's one of the, if we had a Mount Rushmore, you know, from my perspective, he'd be one of the guys.
Chris lives the mission. The mission is the thing that matters most to him, whether it's holding students responsible or helping them understand God's presence or helping them engage in becoming a better version of themselves. Everything he does is towards that goal.
His favorite phrase would be part of something special. Make what you're doing special so you're a part of something special.
I think it was always bigger than football. As coaches, we're teachers. So I think he's really always trying to teach them about life, most importantly.
Athletics is a means to an end. Athletics has an important role in forming young men, in teaching them values, in having them come to understand in some small way the transcendent. Chris is part of that. He recognizes that it's about something bigger, and he's part of that something bigger.
That was him. That was Coach Stevens, man. He was just always there for me, and I will forever love him for that.